Hello and welcome to Octavator Plays. On this week's episode we're going to talk about this. This is the Palmer PDI-09. It finally came after waiting about a month and a half to get this, and I am delighted. It is a DI box that goes between your guitar head and the cabinet and sends a line out to record to an interface. It's a simple setup, not unlike the Behringer. There's no switches to switch between a direct line or the amp head line because this is specifically for recording from your guitar head. If you see here, there's the attenuator, there is the cab sim, input through and a balance out. So the first pro is this is built pretty solid. It must be an aluminium casing. It seems fairly thick and it seems a good bit of weight in it. So I think this would survive a good amount of time. You can get a kind of fixture to put onto it. So then you can fix it to the back and then you can screw this into maybe the back of your cab or the back of your head. A lot of the times in heads there's little gaps, especially on solid states. So it keeps things tidy. It keeps this away from being dropped or damaged or anything like that. So it kind of gives it a prolonged life. I don't have it, but I will recommend getting it. Another pro is it gives you a selection on the attenuator. There's 0 dB, which it doesn't drop any. And that would be for a low watt amp, maybe a 20 watt head or something like that. Then there is the -15 and the -30. -30 would go up to like 100 watt head or anything over. Another pro is the selection of cab sims. There's the bright, normal, and mellow. The bright, I think, is supposed to simulate more of an American cab, while the mellow is supposed to simulate more of a British cab. I don't know what the normal is supposed to simulate. I suppose it just doesn't give an over-the-top sound. More pros to this pedal. It sounds great. It gives a good, clean sound. And not only that, but it sounds great. You know, there's no hiss, there's no muffle, there's no distortion, there's no clipping, easy clipping. You know, it's well worth what you pay for. I paid maybe €90 for this. And after buying this, I was kind of hemming and hawing about that decision of buying it because of the cab sim. I wanted something to record just a flat sound out of the head so I could use the Rosen Digital impulses. But after getting this, I'm hugely surprised at how good the cab sim does sound. Now, saying that, I'm not a big fan of the bright or mellow. They sound good, and I'm sure plenty of people would prefer them. I just prefer keeping it on the normal. I think it gives a nice response. It's not over the top, but that's my personal opinion. So on to the cons of the pedal. Straight away, I'll say when it came in the packaging, if it hadn't come in an external packaging or in a box with a lot of other items, You know, it might not have survived transport. The box is literally just a cardboard box with just enough space to fit the DI box into it. And if you were getting that singly, even if it was wrapped in a kind of bubble wrap, you know, it's still poses a threat of damaging the DI box. So I think I would have preferred to have gotten just a little extra protection out of it. Another con to this is the bracket I mentioned recently. The amount you're paying for this DI box, you think that they would give you the bracket with it instead of charging you the extra, but that is capitalism for you. Another con will be the cab sims, and again, as I said, this is a personal preference. I think they're just too drastic of a change of sound, and yes, they're good, but I just don't like them. So that's all I have to say. There's not a huge amount of cons to this DI. It's hefty, it's thick in protection, it gives a good sound for a good price. It's simple, there's just, you know, a few switches, a true input and an output for XLR. That's all you get. It's simple. It's also good, let's say, if you are in a studio situation where, you know, you're running past hours, you just want to record demos quickly. Even if you're in a home studio and you don't have the option of loud amps, either that or, let's say, for example, you only have one amp and a cab. So that's it for this week. Next week I'm going to do a comparison between the Polymer, I would say a higher priced, still on a budget, but a higher budget DI for a guitar. And then I'm going to compare it to the Behringer, which is drastic budget, €40, and see how they compare. So as usual, like, subscribe, comment, and tune in next week.